Have you ever wondered what goes through a cat's mind in their final moments, when all hope seems lost? For one gray tabby in Portland, Oregon, that moment came on a frigid December morning in 2023. The Riverside Emergency Veterinary Clinic was quiet, except for the soft beeping of monitors and the occasional meow. Snow was falling gently outside the windows, creating a somber backdrop for what should have been this cat's final day. The weak purrs coming from the metal cage in the corner would soon touch hearts across the entire city. Inside that cold cage lay a frail creature, her matted gray fur hanging in clumps that revealed patches of infected skin underneath. The cat, who had yet to be named, had been found in a dumpster behind Peterson's grocery store just hours earlier. The store's night cleaning staff had heard her desperate cries while taking out the trash at 3 a.m. Something in those weak meows had compelled them to investigate, leading to a discovery that would change many lives. The decision to bring her to the emergency clinic had been immediate. Dr. Sarah Martinez stood before the cage, her 15 years of veterinary experience weighing heavily on her shoulders. The initial examination had revealed a grim list of ailments: severe pneumonia that made each breath a struggle, a raging kidney infection that had been left untreated for far too long, malnutrition that had weakened every system in her small body. The clinic's charity fund was running dangerously low after a particularly hard winter. The ethical choice seemed clear, but something held the doctor back. Despite her terrible condition, the cat exhibited a behavior that caught Dr. Martinez's attention. Every time someone approached the cage, a weak paw would extend through the bars, reaching out for connection. Her clouded eyes would follow the movement of staff members, showing an awareness that seemed to defy her physical state. The purring, though faint, was constant whenever human contact was made. These small gestures spoke volumes about her will to live. Lisa Chen, a newly graduated veterinary nurse, found herself drawn to the cage during every free moment of her shift. She recognized something in the cat's struggle that reminded her of her own journey. Coming to America as a child, not speaking the language, fighting to find her place. Somehow this dying cat's determination resonated with those memories. During her breaks, Lisa would sit cross-legged before the cage, sharing stories of her own path to finding hope. Mike Williams, the night security guard, had worked at the clinic for 20 years and had seen countless cases of abandonment. Yet something about this particular cat touched even his weathered heart. He began bringing in special treats from his own cat's collection. Though the sick tabby was too weak to eat them, her eyes would follow the offerings with interest. Mike found himself talking to her during his rounds, sharing his own stories of second chances. The cat's presence began to affect the entire clinic staff in unexpected ways. Technicians would check on her between appointments, offering gentle strokes through the cage bars. The reception staff started keeping a detailed log of her small improvements. Even the janitorial team would pause their duties to offer soft words of encouragement. A community was forming around the small creature, who refused to give up. Time, however, was not on their side. The clinic's policy was clear: decisions about unclaimed animals had to be made within 72 hours. Resources were limited, and the reality of running a medical facility meant tough choices had to be made. The staff watched the clock with growing anxiety, knowing that each passing hour brought them closer to a decision none of them wanted to make. The usual rescue partners were already overwhelmed with holiday season cases. News of the cat situation began to spread through the clinic's network. Local rescue organizations were contacted, but all were operating at capacity. The winter season had brought an unprecedented number of abandoned animals, and resources were stretched thin. Every phone call ended with the same apologetic response: "We just don't have the space or resources." Hope seemed to be slipping away with each passing hour. Dr. Martinez found herself staying late after her shift, reviewing medical journals and consulting with colleagues across the country. There had to be something they were missing, some treatment option they hadn't considered. The cat's blood work showed severe anomalies, but there were patterns that suggested her condition might be treatable. The question was whether they could find someone willing to take on such an intensive case. The staff held an emergency meeting during the lunch break, gathering in the conference room with their untouched sandwiches. Ideas were proposed and dismissed: crowdfunding for treatment, temporary fostering, reaching out to breed-specific rescues. Each option seemed to hit a dead end. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, marking the passage of precious time. The weight of the impending decision hung heavy in the air. Lisa spent her break researching specialized sanctuaries on her phone, scrolling through endless listings. Most facilities focused on healthy, adoptable animals, knowing that their limited resources needed to help the most savable cases. The cat's medical needs were extensive, requiring round-the-clock care and expensive treatments. Finding a place willing to take such a risk seemed impossible. As the afternoon wore on, the cat's condition began to deteriorate slightly. Her breathing became more labored, and her temperature started to rise. The medical team administered another round of antibiotics, knowing they were fighting against time. Each staff member who passed by her cage felt the weight of what seemed to be an inevitable outcome. The gray tabby continued to reach out her paw to visitors, unaware of the drama unfolding around her. Just when all hope seemed lost, Dr. Martinez remembered a conversation from a recent veterinary conference. A new sanctuary had opened on the outskirts of Portland, specializing in critical care cases. Whisker Haven Sanctuary had made headlines in veterinary circles for their innovative approaches to treating severely ill cats. Their facility was equipped with state-of-the-art medical equipment and a dedicated staff of feline specialists. With just hours remaining before the deadline, Dr. Martinez made the call. Her hands shook slightly as she dialed the number, knowing this was likely their last chance. The phone rang 4 times before someone answered. The voice on the other end belonged to Dr. Rachel Thompson, Whisker Haven's founder and lead veterinarian. Dr. Martinez took a deep breath and began to explain their situation. The conversation lasted nearly an hour as the 2 doctors discussed the cat's condition in detail. Dr. Thompson asked precise questions about blood work, vital signs, and observed behaviors. She was particularly interested in the cat's continued attempts to connect with humans despite her condition. Each answer seemed to be carefully weighed as the sanctuary director considered their case. Time stood still in the clinic as they awaited Dr. Thompson's decision. Staff members found excuses to pass by Dr. Martinez's office, trying to read her expression for any sign of hope. The gray tabby dozed fitfully in her cage, unaware that her fate hung in the balance. Outside, the snow had stopped falling, and weak winter sunlight filtered through the clouds. At exactly 4:47 p.m., Dr. Thompson gave her answer. The next few minutes would set in motion a chain of events that would not only change the life of one sick cat, but would transform an entire community's understanding of what it means to give second chances. The story that was about to unfold would touch hearts across Portland and beyond. Dr. Martinez hung up the phone and took a moment to collect herself before stepping out of her office. The staff gathered around, holding their breath as they awaited the news. In her cage, the gray tabby lifted her head slightly, as if sensing the shift in energy in the room. The decision made in that moment would ripple outward, creating waves of change that would impact countless other animals in need. As the staff began to mobilize, news of the decision spread quickly through the clinic. What happened next would become a testament to the power of compassion and the unexpected ways that one small life could inspire an entire community. But first, they had to overcome the immediate challenge, getting their fragile patient safely to her new home. The journey to Whisker Haven Sanctuary should have taken 40 minutes, but winter roads and precious cargo demanded extra caution. Dr. Martinez drove while Lisa sat in the back with their patient, monitoring her vital signs. The portable oxygen unit hummed softly, providing supplemental support. The cat's condition was deteriorating rapidly, each bump in the road causing visible discomfort. Time was becoming their greatest enemy. Upon arrival, they discovered their first major setback. The sanctuary's primary intensive care unit was experiencing electrical issues. The backup generators were running, but several crucial pieces of diagnostic equipment were offline. Staff members scrambled to reroute power from non-essential areas. The cat's labored breathing echoed through the temporary examination room. Dr. Thompson's initial examination revealed complications they hadn't detected at the clinic. The infection had spread more aggressively than anticipated. Blood work showed critical levels of organ dysfunction. The standard treatment protocol would be too risky in her weakened state. The medical team huddled together, knowing they needed to devise an alternative approach quickly. The sanctuary's lead technician discovered an additional challenge while reviewing the cat's scans. A mass near her heart appeared to be restricting blood flow. Surgery would be necessary, but her condition made her a high-risk candidate. The team faced an impossible choice: operate immediately with significant risk, or wait and potentially lose their window of opportunity. As night fell, the cat's temperature began to spike dangerously high. Ice packs were applied, but her small body shivered uncontrollably. The medical team worked in shifts, monitoring every slight change. Each hour brought new complications, requiring constant adjustments to her treatment plan. The sanctuary staff began to question if they had made the right decision in accepting such a critical case. Dr. Thompson noticed something concerning in the latest blood panels. The cat's immune system was not responding to the antibiotics as expected. The infection appeared to be resistant to multiple medications. They would need to source specialized antibiotics, but the nearest supplier was closed for the holiday weekend. Time was a luxury they didn't have. The cat's breathing became increasingly labored around midnight. Emergency intervention was required to prevent respiratory failure. As they prepared to intubate, the power flickered ominously. The backup generators groaned under the strain of running essential equipment. The sanctuary's maintenance team worked frantically to stabilize the power supply. By dawn, exhaustion had set in among the medical staff, but they couldn't rest. The cat had developed additional complications overnight. Her kidney values were climbing despite supportive care. The specialized formula they were using for nutrition wasn't being properly absorbed. Every small step forward seemed to be met with 2 steps back. Lisa, who had stayed well past her shift, noticed the cat's demeanor changing. The weak purring had stopped entirely. Those eyes that had once followed movement now remained half closed. The paw that would reach out for connection lay still. It seemed as though their patient was losing her will to fight along with her physical strength. News of the cat's condition spread through the sanctuary's volunteer network. Many offered to help, but the specialized care required meant only the most experienced staff could be involved. The sanctuary's resources were being stretched to their limits. Other animals in their care still needed attention, creating a challenging balance of time and energy. Dr. Thompson faced mounting pressure from the sanctuary's board of directors. The cost of the cat's care was exceeding their emergency fund allocation. Questions arose about the sustainability of taking on such intensive cases. The sanctuary's mission of saving the most challenging cases was being tested in real time. The cat's condition continued to decline despite their best efforts. Her organs were showing signs of systemic failure. The medical team had exhausted their immediate treatment options. Dr. Thompson knew they needed to try something unconventional, but the risks were significant. The next decision could mean the difference between life and death. During the next round of diagnostics, they discovered a concerning development. The infection had reached her brain, causing minor seizures that had gone unnoticed. The prognosis was becoming increasingly grim. The medical team gathered for an emergency meeting, knowing they needed to make difficult decisions about continuing treatment. A supply shortage created additional complications. The specialty medications needed were running low, and their regular supplier was experiencing shipping delays due to weather conditions. Alternative treatments were considered, but none offered the same potential for success. The team felt the weight of their limited options bearing down. The cat's vitals dropped dramatically during an attempted treatment adjustment. Emergency measures were required to stabilize her condition. The stress on her already weakened body was severe. The medical team worked frantically, knowing that each crisis reduced her chances of recovery. Time seemed to stand still in the intensive care unit. Dr. Thompson began to see signs of organ failure that couldn't be reversed. The cat's body was simply too weak to fight any longer. The dedicated team who had worked tirelessly felt the heavy weight of potential defeat. difficult conversations about quality of life versus prolonged treatment needed to be had. The ethical implications weighed heavily on everyone involved. During a brief moment of consciousness, the cat managed to lift her head slightly, meeting Dr. Thompson's gaze. Something in those eyes spoke of a determination that defied her physical condition. Despite all medical evidence pointing toward the inevitability of loss, that brief connection sparked an idea in Dr. Thompson's mind. She quickly gathered her team to discuss one final, unconventional treatment option. The proposed treatment was experimental and risky. It would require precise timing and flawless execution. The sanctuary's staff divided into teams, each responsible for a crucial aspect of the procedure. Equipment was prepared, medications were carefully measured, and backup plans were established. They knew this might be their last chance to save their patient. Monitors beeped steadily as they began the procedure. Every person in the room understood their role and the stakes involved. The cat's weakened body responded to each intervention in unpredictable ways. The medical team adjusted their approach moment by moment, drawing on years of experience and intuition. The next few hours would determine everything. The sanctuary fell into an uneasy quiet as they waited to see the results of their desperate intervention. Staff members moved silently through their tasks, each lost in their own thoughts about the events that had brought them to this moment. The cat lay still, connected to various machines that worked to support her failing body. The outcome remained uncertain, balanced on a knife's edge between success and heartbreaking failure. In the darkest hour before dawn, something unexpected happened in the intensive care unit. The cat's vital signs, which had been steadily declining, began to stabilize. Dr. Thompson, who had been dozing in a chair nearby, noticed the change first. The monitor's rhythmic beeping took on a stronger, more regular pattern. Small signs of improvement began to appear in her latest blood work. The experimental treatment appeared to be having an effect that defied their initial prognosis. The infection markers in her bloodstream showed the first significant decrease since her arrival. Her body temperature, which had been dangerously high, started to normalize. The medical team gathered around her cage, hardly daring to believe what they were seeing. Dr. Thompson ordered a comprehensive set of tests to confirm their observations. Each result brought cautious optimism. The cat's kidneys were showing signs of improved function. Her respiratory rate had stabilized. Most surprisingly, the mass near her heart had begun to shrink, responding to the aggressive treatment protocol. Hope began to replace exhaustion in the eyes of the sanctuary staff. The cat's demeanor underwent a subtle but significant change. Her eyes, which had been dull and unfocused, began tracking movement again. The medical team noticed her attempting to groom herself, a behavior they hadn't seen since her arrival. Though still weak, her will to live seemed to be returning. Each small action reinforced their belief that they had made the right choice in continuing treatment. Word of the cat's improvement spread quickly through the sanctuary. Volunteers who had been helping with other animals stopped by the ICU window to witness the miracle in progress. The energy in the facility shifted from desperate determination to cautious celebration. Even the most experienced staff members were amazed by the sudden turn of events. During morning rounds, the cat surprised everyone by attempting to eat on her own for the first time. The sight of her weakly lapping at a small bowl of specialized formula brought tears to Lisa's eyes. It was a small victory, but in the context of her condition, it felt monumental. The staff documented every moment, knowing they were witnessing something extraordinary. Dr. Thompson's unconventional treatment approach began gaining attention in veterinary circles. Colleagues from other facilities requested detailed protocols and case notes. The cat's recovery was becoming a case study in pushing the boundaries of traditional veterinary medicine. Her story represented hope for other animals facing similar diagnoses. The sanctuary's board members, who had questioned the resources invested in one critical case, began to see the broader implications. The knowledge gained from treating this single cat could potentially save countless others. What had started as a risky decision was transforming into a valuable learning opportunity for the entire veterinary community. As the cat's strength gradually returned, her personality began to emerge. The staff discovered she had a gentle, affectionate nature, despite all she had endured. She would purr loudly during examinations, making even routine procedures easier. Her resilience inspired everyone who came into contact with her. The medical team found themselves looking forward to their shifts in the ICU. The breakthrough in her treatment led to an unexpected discovery. The resistant infection that had nearly claimed her life had unique characteristics that could help in developing more effective treatments for other cats. Dr. Thompson began documenting every aspect of the case, recognizing its potential significance for future research. Recovery brought new challenges as the cat began showing interest in exploring beyond her ICU cage. The team had to balance her growing activity level with her continued need for medical support. They modified her space to allow for more movement while maintaining necessary monitoring equipment. Her determination to move and play became both encouraging and challenging. The sanctuary's atmosphere transformed as the cat's recovery progressed. Other critical care cases seemed to respond to the positive energy that permeated the facility. Staff members found renewed motivation in their work, inspired by the remarkable turnaround they had witnessed. The impact of saving one life rippled through the entire organization. Lisa developed a special bond with their recovering patient during her extended shifts. She noticed how the cat would perk up when she heard familiar voices, showing signs of recognition and attachment. These social connections seemed to play a crucial role in her recovery. The medical team began incorporating more interaction time into her treatment plan. The cat's journey attracted attention from local media. Her story resonated with people facing their own struggles, becoming a symbol of hope and resilience. The sanctuary received an outpouring of support from the community, including donations to help cover her ongoing care. Her impact extended far beyond the walls of the facility. Dr. Thompson began receiving inquiries from veterinary schools interested in the case. The successful treatment of such a critical patient offered valuable insights for teaching purposes. Students visited the sanctuary to observe and learn from the recovery process. The cat's legacy would influence the future of veterinary medicine in ways no one had anticipated. Each day brought new milestones in the cat's recovery. She graduated from assisted feeding to eating independently, from constant monitoring to periodic checkups. Her fur began growing back, glossy and thick where infection had once ravaged her skin. The transformation was both physical and emotional, as she grew more confident and engaged with her environment. The sanctuary staff held a small celebration when she was deemed stable enough to move out of intensive care. It marked a turning point not just in her recovery, but in the sanctuary's history. They had proven that even the most hopeless cases deserved a chance. The cat's resilience had validated their mission in the most powerful way possible. Preparing for her transition to regular care required careful planning. The team developed a comprehensive rehabilitation program to help her regain strength and mobility. Every aspect of her care was documented, creating a valuable resource for future cases. Her journey from critical condition to recovery would serve as a blueprint for others. The cat's story began spreading beyond the local community, reaching animal lovers across the country. Social media updates about her progress garnered thousands of followers. She became a symbol of hope for other shelters and sanctuaries dealing with difficult cases. Her impact on animal welfare extended far beyond her personal journey. The turning point in her recovery marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just for one cat, but for the entire sanctuary. The knowledge gained, the boundaries pushed, and the lives touched would continue to create ripples of change. As she grew stronger each day, the true magnitude of her impact was only beginning to be understood. As spring arrived in Portland, the cat's transformation became even more remarkable. Her once matted gray fur now gleamed in the sunlight that streamed through the sanctuary windows. Staff members who had witnessed her arrival could hardly believe she was the same fragile creature. Her eyes, once clouded with illness, now sparkled with life and curiosity. Each day brought new signs of her incredible recovery. The medical team began transitioning her to a more independent lifestyle within the sanctuary. What started as short, supervised explorations beyond her recovery room grew into longer periods of freedom. She discovered favorite sunbathing spots and hiding places, marking her territory with growing confidence. The staff delighted in watching her reclaim her natural feline behaviors. Dr. Thompson's detailed documentation of the case attracted attention from veterinary specialists nationwide. The successful treatment protocol was being adapted for use in other facilities, saving countless feline lives. Conference invitations poured in, requesting presentations about the groundbreaking approach. The cat's legacy was already extending far beyond the sanctuary walls. Lisa, who had maintained her special bond with their miracle patient, noticed how the cat had developed distinct preferences and routines. She would wait by the door each morning for staff arrivals, greeting them with cheerful meows. Her social nature surprised everyone, given her traumatic past. It seemed she had not only recovered physically, but had emerged emotionally stronger. The sanctuary's volunteer program experienced unprecedented growth as news of the cat's recovery spread. People were inspired by her story and wanted to be part of similar rescue efforts. Training sessions were filled to capacity as community members sought ways to contribute. The ripple effect of one successful save was transforming the entire organization. Regular visitors to the sanctuary began noticing how other critical care patients seemed to respond differently in her presence. She would often sit near cages containing newly arrived cats, offering a calm and reassuring presence. The staff started calling her their therapy cat, recognizing her unique ability to comfort others. Her role had evolved from patient to healer. Dr. Martinez, who had made that crucial first call to Whisker Haven, visited regularly to check on her former patient. Each visit confirmed the wisdom of their decision to fight for her life. The cat would recognize her immediately, running to greet her with the same gentle paw reach that had first captured their hearts. These reunions became powerful reminders of how far she had come. The sanctuary's board of directors, once skeptical about investing so heavily in one case, now used her story to illustrate their mission. Fundraising became easier as donors connected with the tangible impact of their contributions. The facility's capacity for treating critical cases expanded, allowing them to save more lives. One success had paved the way for many more. Photos comparing her condition at arrival with her current appearance circulated widely on social media. The stark contrast served as a powerful testament to the possibilities of dedicated medical care and unwavering hope. Messages poured in from around the world, sharing similar stories of animals who had beaten the odds. A global community formed around her journey. The cat's personality continued to blossom in unexpected ways. She showed a particular interest in young kittens brought to the sanctuary, often appointing herself as their unofficial guardian. Staff would find her grooming orphaned kittens or teaching them proper cat etiquette. Her maternal instincts seemed to be part of her healing process. During follow-up examinations, Dr. Thompson marveled at the completeness of her recovery. All traces of the infection had vanished and her organs functioned normally. Even the mass near her heart had completely resolved. She had become a living testament to the resilience of the feline spirit. Her case would be studied by veterinary students for years to come. The sanctuary's approach to evaluating critical cases evolved based on their experience. The too far gone category virtually disappeared from their vocabulary. Each new arrival was assessed with the understanding that miracles were possible with proper care and dedication. The cat's influence on their protocols would save countless future lives. As summer approached, discussions began about her long-term future. While many adoption applications had been submitted, the staff realized she had already found her true home. The board unanimously voted to make her the sanctuary's permanent ambassador. She would continue inspiring hope and representing the power of second chances. The cat, officially named Phoenix by the staff to represent her rise from the ashes, settled into her new role with natural grace. Her daily routines included visiting new arrivals, comforting critical care patients, and charming visitors with her gentle demeanor. She became living proof that every life deserved a chance, no matter how dire the circumstances. Local schools began requesting visits from sanctuary staff to share Phoenix's story. Children were particularly moved by her journey, learning valuable lessons about compassion and perseverance. The sanctuary developed an educational program around her experience, teaching young people about animal welfare and the importance of never giving up. Phoenix's first anniversary at the sanctuary was celebrated with a special event. Community members who had followed her story gathered to commemorate her journey. The ceremony included the unveiling of new intensive care equipment, funded by donations inspired by her case. Her impact on the sanctuary's capabilities would benefit countless future patients. The sanctuary's reputation grew, becoming known as a place where miracles could happen. Other facilities sought their guidance in developing similar programs. Phoenix's case study was published in veterinary journals, providing a roadmap for treating severe cases. Her influence on veterinary medicine continued to expand. Dr. Thompson often reflected on the night they almost lost her, remembering the moment they decided to try one last treatment. That decision had not only saved one life, but had launched a movement within the veterinary community. Phoenix had become a symbol of hope, reminding everyone that sometimes the biggest miracles come in small, furry packages. The resolution of Phoenix's story wasn't just about one cat's survival. It was about the transformation of an entire community's belief in the power of compassion and determination. Her legacy would continue inspiring others to fight for the seemingly hopeless cases, knowing that every life held the potential for an incredible comeback story. Looking back at Phoenix's journey from that cold December morning to her triumphant recovery, the impact of her story extends far beyond the walls of Whisker Haven Sanctuary. Her transformation from a dying cat in a dumpster to a beloved ambassador of hope demonstrates the extraordinary power of compassion, determination, and second chances. Her legacy continues to inspire both humans and animals alike. The medical breakthroughs achieved during her treatment have revolutionized how veterinary facilities approach critical cases. What was once considered impossible has become a new standard of care, thanks to Dr. Thompson's innovative approach and Phoenix's remarkable will to live. Countless other cats now benefit from the protocols developed during her recovery, creating a ripple effect of saved lives. The sanctuary itself has evolved, growing from a specialized facility into a beacon of hope for the entire animal welfare community. Phoenix's presence serves as a daily reminder that every life has value, no matter how desperate the circumstances may seem. Her story has attracted support and resources that enable the sanctuary to save more critical cases than ever before. Perhaps the most profound impact of Phoenix's journey is the change in perspective she has inspired in people. From the cleaning staff who first heard her cries to the veterinarians who fought for her life, each person touched by her story has learned to see possibility where others might see hopelessness. Her influence continues to shape decisions in animal care facilities across the country. The children who visit the sanctuary and learn about Phoenix's journey carry her message of resilience into their own lives. They learn that miracles can happen when people refuse to give up, that compassion has the power to transform lives, and that every being deserves a chance to fight for survival. These lessons will shape their attitudes toward animal welfare for generations to come. Dr. Martinez and Lisa still visit regularly, marveling at how their decision to make one last phone call transformed not only Phoenix's life, but their own understanding of what's possible in veterinary medicine. Their experience with Phoenix has influenced how they approach every critical case that comes through their doors, always remembering that hope can flourish in the most unlikely circumstances. The global community that formed around Phoenix's recovery continues to grow, sharing stories of animal rescues and celebrating successes inspired by her journey. Her story has become a touchstone for animal welfare advocates, proving that with dedication, innovation, and unwavering faith, even the most desperate cases can have happy endings. She represents the very best of what rescue work can achieve. Phoenix herself seems to understand her role as a symbol of hope. Her gentle presence brings comfort to newly arrived animals. Her playful spirit lifts the moods of staff members during difficult days. And her affectionate nature reminds visitors of the deep bonds that can form between humans and animals. She embodies the mission of Whisker Haven Sanctuary in every purr and gentle head bump. As we reflect on Phoenix's remarkable journey from near death to vibrant life, we're reminded that sometimes the greatest miracles come disguised as impossible challenges. Her story teaches us that with enough love, dedication, and courage to try unconventional solutions, we can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Every life has value, and every being deserves a chance to shine. In the end, Phoenix's story is more than just a tale of survival. It's a testament to the extraordinary things that can happen when people refuse to give up hope. Her legacy lives on in every critical case that receives a second chance, in every volunteer inspired to join the cause, and in every heart open to the possibility of miracles. She reminds us all that sometimes the smallest creatures can teach the biggest lessons about love, resilience, and the power of never giving up.